I think the other thing too that becomes really fascinating is seeing how just like in each deal, like one piece of content can theoretically, and I've seen it too, like now that, you know, for example, like we use YouTube TV. So like every time my husband's like watching sports, the commercials come on, or if I'm like walking in that tunnel in New York City from Port Authority from you know 8th Ave to 7th or whatever. The thing that I notice, and I mean, obviously this is what I do every day for a living, so my eyes are super open to it. But I'll see something on social, like on my For You page, and it'll be a brand deal, like paid ad brand, like straight up brand deal. But then that brand deal is then being inserted into the ads that you will see on a sports moment, inserted into out of home that I see in that tunnel, the digital out of home. And so I think that's also what becomes really fascinating doing these deals from like an agent POV with the talent of like, okay, so really we're looking at, you know, and this comes back to my earlier point of like, what is the profit margin for the talent on the deal? Where the profit margin is really like, what's the time expense on it, right? So the talent is really only making this one, maybe 2 or 3 pieces of content, right? One, maybe 2 or 3 of them are all living on that social over the course of the flight or the term. But then you're making a substantial amount of additional money because that's going into commercial use. It's going into digital out of home use. Most likely, these are also brands that are going to want to utilize the still of that for maybe a point of sale, right? So the profit margin on a deal like that is pretty substantial for the talent when you're just only really doing a couple pieces of content, and then it's up to the brand to do all these different things, and they have to pay the talent for the usage of all of it. So, you know, I think that's also where it just becomes like really fascinating, and there's just more and more ways that creator content is being rolled up and utilized in all these different areas. And honestly, to Rana's point, like there's going to be some new way to use it in 3, 6 months or a year, and then we're all gonna have to figure out, oh, well, how are we pricing this new thing? Like, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, all those uses that you mentioned, like out of home and, you know, paid media and all of that, I mean, brands all pay like additional fees for that. And, you know, so yeah, it's like one shoot day for a creator and then, you know, all these different uses that bring in so much more revenue, which is really great for them for sure.
But I also think we can look at like the pandemic did that. Like the pandemic did that for our business, right? Because everyone realized like, oh, you can save money on this shoot if you take it this way, you know, like it's that will forever have changed not only like the deals that we're doing, the talent that are growing, how people are consuming everything. Like it really forever changed this business that we've all been a part of since, you know, the early YouTube days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it turbocharged it for sure. Yeah. I think we would have gotten here, but it might have taken longer. Totally. But I think absolutely, like the pandemic just like turbocharged this business big time. So long form or short form? Because short form was all the rage. And now I feel like it's shifting back to longer form for creators, for brands, for everybody. YouTube seems to be wanting to turn into its own studio, really encouraging a lot of the bigger creators who create like this incredible production quality content. What are you guys seeing in terms of that trend, like short form, long form, both?
It's contracting again back to long form. Just
yeah,
that's
I
what
agree.
The market is telling us. But I think that it, like because there's a clear division with generations with the way that they consume content. Like we can say that millennials are really the ones that are consuming longer form stuff and have a attention span that can work for that kind of content. Whereas, you know, anyone sort of after that is really focusing on short form. I actually have found that my clients that are part of Gen X or whatever have having a tough time recreating their content so it does better suit longer form. But I would say, and I think that it will always stay this way, because I just think as humans, innately longer form is like what I think will be here to stay indefinitely. It'll just go in different versions. But short form, I think that we saw in the last year, people kind of like got sick of it or getting sick of it. Like it's just too much. So I think long form.
I find a lot of offense to this question because don't make me like literally don't make me pick. I think
you have to pick your favorite child, Tori. Come on, long form or short form.
I think it all depends on the content and the medium and the vertical. Like I love a quippy short form like comedy thing, right? But then like I am obsessed with Andrew Callahan and what he does on Channel 5, and I will watch every single long form video because I think it's so insightful. And so I think it just depends. And I think that's why it's so important for creators to have a platform agnostic strategy. And you need to like bend your mind into like, how can I take my long form and utilize that for short form? And I think the podcast like clipping strategy of 2024 to 2025 really showcases like you kind of can have your cake and eat it too with the right strategy. But I would agree that I do think as a world, we're seeing the kind of the pendulum swing back to long form. But on that, I would also include like written long form. I would include that this is why Book Talk is crushing. This is why people are loving like Substack. This is why even like you see these like intellectual influencers that I personally love who are doing these deep dives and multi-parts on TikTok, who maybe probably should be doing them more longer form on YouTube, but there's a little bit of a barrier to entry there. So I think it just depends, but I would definitely agree with like there is the pendulum is doing this into like the longer form. And I think a lot of people are doing it out of like retraining themselves a little bit, which I get.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think as like that traditional media world sort of enters, or the traditional entertainment world sort of is taking notice, it's almost like they're demanding too longer form. Like, you know, if they're going to license content and stuff, they want it to be a little bit longer. And I think that's also influencing it as they're turning their attention to, you know, the digital media space.